Welcome to the Powerful Marketing Tips Podcast, created for overwhelmed business owners who want to build, run, and organize their marketing for good. And here's a brief overview of our guest. You're about to meet a true legend, an expert in sales and marketing, a best-selling author, keynote speaker, a coach and consultant, and someone who's been honored with induction along with Zig Ziglar, Seth Godin, Dale Carnegie, and just 20 others in the Sales and Marketing Hall of Fame. Scott McKain, known for helping organizations and professionals create distinction to attract and retain customers, has been quoted multiple times in USA Today, the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and International Herald Tribune. He's an expert consultant and has advised brands like Apple and BMW, Cisco, John Deere, and hundreds more. Enjoy this incredibly valuable interview with Scott McKain.
You can't have a podcast about marketing without interviewing Scott McKain, who truly is a legend in our space. He is globally recognized authority on distinction and really how to stand out in a hyper-competitive market, how to separate yourself from the crowd. It is a great honor to have Scott McKain as a guest on our podcast. Welcome, Scott.
Hey, thank you so much. What a kind introduction, and it's such a privilege to join you. So thank you, and thanks for all that you do. Your website is just remarkable, and what you do is so important. And you're helping. You are a great example of what's happening in the world right now, and that is that we are a global community in so many ways. I mean, you are informing and inspiring and educating people globally, and thank you for your contribution to marketing. Marketing as it should be done. Marketing in a very ethical way. Marketing in a way that generates success. So thank you for your efforts to make all of us involved in marketing better.
Wow, that means the world to me. I appreciate it. Thank you. So, Scott, we are fascinated by our topic because most businesses are small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, representing roughly 90% of companies and 50% of employment worldwide. So this is true both US and European Union, with the SME representation reaching 99% of all European and US businesses. So for all of those businesses, it is all about really, breaking through from becoming unknown to becoming known, which is really a result of uniqueness and being the expert on one thing, to become distinctive, right? So I guess my first question is, what's causing this, like a phenomenon of uniformity among those businesses here?
Well, I think in business, and I think it's true in the EU, I think it's true here in the States, is a misguided belief that safe is being traditional. In other words, I'm a small business. I have everything at risk. I mean, as opposed to a large corporation, if I'm in senior management of BMW, I have resources, and the company's going to thrive whether I do my job or not, right? As you well know, in a small business, it has impact on our future economically. It impacts our families. We're all in, and I think sometimes when you're in that situation, you presume that, so therefore, the more I can be like everybody else, then I'll get a part of that market. I'll be able to survive and perhaps thrive, but at least I can keep my head above water. But what's happened is it's gotten so competitive. I mean, you're a perfect example of that, Mari, is that, there you are in Estonia, here I am in Las Vegas in the United States, and we're having this conversation that people all over the world are going to have a chance to see. And while we've become comfortable and accustomed to that phenomenon, if we look at the timeline of all of business, it's still just, it's a very, very small part of that. So our competition now, it used to be we could look at them, they were down the street, right? Or they were across town. Mm-hmm. Now our competition is anywhere in the world. So as it has become hyper-competitive, it's been harder then for customers to make choices. I mean, if you think about the success of business, I'm going on a long time about this, I'm sorry, but the success of business is based on customer choice. that a customer chooses us instead of the competition. And so the way that we are chosen is because of our differences, not because of our similarities. But yet most of us in business have not really thought of that, not really analyzed that. And I realize that because, I have a small business, and that was my biggest mistake and my biggest problem in the early days of my small business was I thought, man, if I want to be successful, I have to be exactly like everybody else in my field, which made me nothing more than, at best, average.
Mm-hmm. I get it. It is hyper competitive, as you just said, and it's so overwhelming, So I know that you are talking about those cornerstones of distinction. Could you please walk us through what they are? Because for the listeners, there might be people who are not familiar with your books yet.
Sure, happy to. Thank you for asking. There are 4 cornerstones of distinction, and when I found this out, I was researching it because, frankly, I'd been through a personal tragedy. My own business was in trouble, and I thought I'd had to put it on hold for a couple of years to deal with my wife was dealing with terminal cancer, and when I got back in the business after her passing, I had to figure this out. I had to find a way to stand out. And so I started researching just to make my own small business survive. And I realized that's when through the research for that, I blinding flash the obvious is, boy, what if other small businesses need to know this too, right? And so that's what led to the research and the development of the 4 cornerstones. And the first one is clarity. Clarity means that we're not only precise about what we are, but we're just as exact about what we are not. In recorded history, I don't think there's ever been a customer that left a business doing, whatever it might be, whether it's products or services. There's never been a customer that says, I love doing business with them. They're exactly like everybody else. Right? I mean, when I proposed to my wife, I did not get down on one knee, open up the little box with the diamond ring and say, honey, will you marry me? You're exactly like every other woman I ever dated. That would not be a good proposal, right? So what we understand is that when we're the customer or in our personal relationships, there certainly are similarities, but it's the differences that attract us. It's what makes us unique that attracts us. So uniqueness and that clarity is not only found in knowing what we are and being very precise about what we are, it's also being just as exact about what we are not. Now, when we're that precise, we become more referable as well. I'll give you one quick example. There's a financial advisor that has we've consulted with her, and she is a financial advisor in Florida here in the United States, and she only works with people who are involved in the sport of polo. Now, I have to admit, I thought, gosh, that's really restrictive, isn't it? Well, she's one of the most successful advisors here in the United States, because if you're in polo, she's part of your inner circle. And you also like it because there's an exclusivity to that. She only works with us. She knows us. She knows our problems. She knows our opportunities. But she also becomes very referable, because when someone joins the sport, yes, she's our financial advisor. So that clarity, and I said, you mean if somebody's not involved in polo, you turn down their business? She said, exactly. I don't have time to deal with people that aren't involved in my specialty. If I needed heart surgery, I wouldn't go to my general practitioner doctor. I'd want to go to a specialist. I wouldn't go to a heart surgeon who says, yeah, hearts, brains, kidneys, I can work on them all, right? You would want that special, and that's what we want, is that clarity. It's knowing what we are and what we're not, where we put our flag in the ground.
I love those comparisons, and that is so good. You should be clear on what you do and also on what you don't do. But, it really creates so much conflict, as it seems, safe to do many things, and it is very hard to say no, especially for small businesses.
Yeah.
What would you say here?
It's really interesting. I've had people say, Scott, when is there a moment that your career became successful? And for one thing, I think I still have farther to go, right? So I want to keep looking forward, not back. There's a reason the windshield is bigger than the rear view mirror in a car. You need to be looking forward, not back.
Very well said.
But there was a moment where somebody called and they wanted a presentation on leadership, and they just a generic program, and I said no. I speak about distinction. Now, I could speak about how to be more distinctive as a leader, but I'm not. I don't do that anymore. I don't just go. And it was a speakers bureau that was calling, and they went, "Wow, you're going to turn down the business because your flag is in the ground about that particular topic." I said, "Yeah. I've got to walk my talk. I got to practice what I preach." And
That
so I
takes a lot
lost
of
that
courage.
speech. But that same bureau now has booked countless numbers of presentations because rather than just being a good speaker that could talk about a lot of things, you become an expert on that topic. And people are always attracted and will pay more for expertise than they will for just general. I mean, you're a great example of that. You don't say, "Oh, I'll teach you how to market and how to manufacture and how to ship and distribute and how to," I mean, you've got your flag in the ground when it comes to marketing, and that leads to greater success, I believe. But you're exactly right. I mean, I've been there in my small business. The appeal of that. And that too. We do that too. But when you do that, then you become eminently less attractive and less referable.
Oh my God, that's so true. Really, Scott. I admire this encourage, to say no. I've never thought about this in that way. But really what it does, it gives you this clarity, you can make decisions much more easier, right? If you know yourself, here are the things I say yes, and here are all the things I say no to. So it makes decision making also easier.
Well, and you created a thought there too, which is that it's part of that same phenomenon of this hyper competition. Is there are so many things that can take away our focus in small business. Oh, I need to be doing that. Oh, I need to be doing that. I bet that one of the most valuable things that you provide to your clients, Mari, is helping them know what not to do when they're marketing. Right? Because there's so many things I could do. Hey, I could go buy some more Facebook ads, and I'd better advertise over here, or I'd better send out 1,000, email messages, and I ought to spam a bunch of people on LinkedIn, and I ought to, and I would bet that a lot of the value that you provide is helping people know what not to do in marketing, as well as what to do, and it's that combination that really has value, and I think that's a great philosophy for all of our small businesses is what should we not do as opposed to what we should do. And the more that we can define that and be precise about that, then the more attractive that we can become in the marketplace.
Yeah, that's true. So clarity is a big part of our work as well. That's true. Yeah. So what are the other cornerstones
you bet.
there?
I talk about that one a lot. But the first one I think is the toughest, right? Because for small business, the first one's the toughest because we've been led to believe that the more things that we can do and the more offerings that we have out there, the greater the likelihood a customer is going to run into something that they want to buy from us. When instead, we need to be in the customer attraction business. Right? That's really what marketing is how do we become more attractive to customers. The customers we attract will be more valuable than the customers we pursue. So marketing to me is about how do we become more attractive so that we get chosen. So then the second one of the four cornerstones is clarity. But the first one's clarity. Second one's creativity. And creativity has to come after clarity. We always hear think outside the box. But what I found in my research is a lot of that's because we haven't really defined our box to begin with. We think we always have to think outside of it because we don't really know what it is. And if we always have to think outside of it, shouldn't we, as my friend Steve Shapiro says, shouldn't we get a better box? I mean, we always have to think outside the one we have. Maybe we just need a better box. What I learned about creativity for small business is that, and I did this as well, is that many small business people, when you start talking about innovation, well, they think that's something that Apple does, or that's, that's something big companies do. We're too small. Well, they were small when they started innovating. That's how they became large to begin with. But I understand, because those companies have financial resources to be able to make mistakes. In a small business, we don't want to make mistakes. However, what I learned was creativity is about doing one thing uniquely. It's not about throwing everything away and blowing everything up and starting over. It's about finding one little twist that can help us be unique in the marketplace. Now, I don't believe that just being different makes you better. Mm-hmm. Companies don't buy, if I go to a restaurant and they serve a unique creative dish, but it tastes terrible, I don't go say, well, I'm going to go back and have that again because at least it was unique, right? At least it was creative. No, I don't go back because but if you think about, well, here's a big company example, but Amazon just did one thing differently. They sold the same books as any other book retailer anywhere in the world. The difference is they brought it to your doorstep. The product wasn't any different than what was in bookstores when Amazon first got started. And then they realized they could do that with everything. And now look, in a time of pandemic, how much more home delivery has been important, whether it's meals or whatever it is. Uber, on a global basis, kept expanding their empire when they got more creative. Hey, we were picking people up, taking them someplace else. Now, if people are staying at home because of a pandemic, what if we pick up food and bring it to you, right? It was kind of reversing, it was getting creative and reversing the process. So for small business, what I'd like for you to think of is what's one thing? Just, you don't have to do everything differently. What's one thing you could do differently? And when you learn that and decide that, then you are creating distinction in the marketplace. Because I've had small business people say, yeah, but my competitor could do that too. Yeah, they probably could. But if you're first, you're going to be known for that, and then your competition will look like imitators, which naturally puts you at the lead of the pack, because the originator is always valued more than the imitator.
I love it, But I know that those small business owners, they are telling you that, yeah, I get it, but, I'm just not creative.
Yeah, and that happens. I mean, you bring up such an important point, because I was doing a program before the pandemic hit, and it was for small business owners that owned automobile repair shops. Now, there was not a single person in that audience who said, I'm going to start an auto repair shop because I love being around customers. They did it because they love being around cars, right? And so I think that's the way we are in small business, right? We're attracted, not all of us, but many of us, because we're attracted to a specific thing about what we do. We love what we do. And so all of the things that deal with customer experience and marketing, and those are things we have to learn. And when it comes to fixing a car, there's not really a creative way to tune a carburetor, right? So therefore they say, oh, I'm not creative. And one of the fascinating things I learned about creativity is it's one of the few things that once you say, oh, I'm not, or oh, I can't do that, then you're right. Because what you've done is to shut down the process. As soon as I say I'm not creative, then I stop trying to come up with new ideas. Oh, I can't do that. I'm not creative. So I stop. So one of the weird things, strange aspects I discovered through this is that the first step of being more creative is to stop saying that you're not. Because you can have a great creative idea. So here's one way you can do it. Look at how companies, even small businesses, not in your field, that are very successful, what are they doing differently? I met a dentist in Texas, and he thought he looked at what every other dentist did, and he said, I'm like every other dentist. I mean, there's only so many ways you can fill a cavity. Everybody else is doing it. What can I do? So rather than looking at other dentists, he said, well, Amazon is huge. How can I become the Amazon of dentistry? So he built a trailer with dental office in the trailer. And so you make an appointment with your dentist and he pulls his trailer up to your house or your apartment complex, and you walk out of your apartment and this trailer is in the parking lot. So you don't have to go to the dental office. He brings the dental office to you. Just like Amazon brings a delivery, he brings the dental office to you. And now he's building more trailers and trying to find more dentists that will work. And it wasn't that he was creative in dentistry. He just looked and he thought, what can I do to be the Amazon? So what could you do to be like a beginning Amazon in your field? Whatever it might be. It's a great way to be creative. Then the third is communication. And that's what you do such a great job at as well, Mary, is in today's world, we want narrative. We want story. There are more ways to communicate. Hey, we're doing one of them now, through podcasts and through social media and through your website and through everything else. But at the end of the day, we all want a really good story. Stories help us understand. They help us visualize. They help us see. And great marketers create distinctive stories. Stories are a way that we kind of go, oh, yeah, I get it. I get it. The mind thinks in terms of pictures and remembers images much more effectively than it remembers words. So you'll never walk up to a person and say, oh, I remember your name, but your face escapes me. Right? We'll say to a person, oh, look, I know you. I remember your face, but help me with your name. What's your name again? Right? Because we don't remember the word. The pictures remember, but the words aren't. So stories create these mental images. So if marketers tell stories about customer success, if marketers tell stories about people who had a problem and they searched for a solution, and then they found that solution through what we are offering, what happens is the person on the receiving end of that story starts imagining, oh gosh, I've got that same problem. Oh, I've been looking for an answer. Maybe what they're talking about is the answer that I need. And through that story, we can display our uniqueness through the clarity that we've had first, and then the creativity that we've created that gives us something unique. Now we transmit that uniqueness, the story of that uniqueness, as we communicate with our customers in a way that excites them and engages them and wants them to be a part of what we're doing.
Stories are very important. Stories have been there with us over this, centuries, right? Because people come together, they share stories, they talk, that's a very important part here. I couldn't agree with you here more.
And to your point, but thank you, Mary, and to your point, I think now we need to feel more connected than before.
Especially now.
We need that. And so stories are even more important than they've ever been, right? And so you've got clarity, creativity, communication, and the fourth is a customer experience focus. We need in small business to really be focusing on what is the experience that we're providing for customers. When I was speaking to those automobile repair folks, I was talking about when teenage stepson had wrecked the car. So I'm on the road giving a speech, so she takes the car in to get repaired. And they did a fabulous job repairing the car. But do you know what my wife said about them? They were so nice, and it was so clean, and there was a nice place to sit and wait, and they explained everything to me, but they weren't condescending in how they talked about it. They had fixed the car exactly right. But what she was talking about, and why she repeated our business there, and why she referred that repair shop, a small business, is because of the experience that she received. And so what we have to do, and I think that's one of the challenges in marketing today, is that there has to be congruency between our marketing and our execution. I had to go to the emergency room at a hospital, and there was a hospital that is marketed on television here, that we're the friendliest and we're the fastest. And I get there, and the emergency room is full, and the people are rude, and it was just a horrible experience. And it was made worse by the fact that the marketing had set up an expectation that they couldn't deliver with their performance. And so what we have to do, I think as marketers, is to be very aware that one of the worst things that we can do is to market performance that the people on the front line can't execute. And all of that is part of the customer experience. So we all have to work together to create this extraordinary experience that gets customers repeating and referring. By that, I mean, the experience is so great. Now, no customer ever says, gosh, it's horrible doing business there. I can't wait to go back. I mean, if it's horrible, I'm going to try someplace else. And so that's part of what we have to focus on, is what will make customers repeat their business with us. The experience is so good. And not only is it so good they come back, but it's also so good they can't wait to tell other people about it. But my first book was called All Business is Show Business. And one of the things, I did movie reviews here in the United States for several years. And I acted in a German film, was how it all came about, interestingly enough. But one of the things I realized was that for a movie to be successful, not only did the script have to be great and all of the technical aspects, the lighting has to be great, the camera has to be in focus, the actors have to be in the right spot. I mean, all those but the movie had to be such a great experience that we would call our friends and go, oh my gosh, I just saw the best movie, you got to go see it. Or, oh, you got to rent this. Or, have you been watching this particular show on television? You got to see it. That's what it takes for a movie to be successful. And I realize business is no different. A small business is no different. We've got to be so great at what we do that our customers want to come back. I had the opportunity to interview James Cameron. He directed Titanic and Avatar and Terminator. And I said, at the time, Titanic was the most successful movie ever made. And Avatar was out and on its way to becoming, so the same guy directed these movies. And I said, what was the key? He said, I had to make a movie that was so good that when you left the theater, you called a friend and not only said, you got to see this movie, you said to the friend, I'm going to go back and see it again, and you got to go with me. And I thought,
oh my God, it's been several times I've seen Titanic.
Yes,
for the
there you
same
go.
reason.
Right. I mean, and that's repeat business, right? And so you repeated business. You told other people. Well, he was saying that. I was sitting there going, I want that for my small business. I want my small business to be like that movie. I mean, not that it's going to be a multi-million-dollar epic on the screen, but how people feel about my business needed to be the same. It needed to be where people go, oh my gosh, I got to repeat my business with them. And I'm going to tell my friend because I want them to have the same experience. Come on, go with me. Let's go get some of this. And to me, that's the key. So it's clarity and then creativity and communication and a customer experience focus. And when we do those four, then we are creating distinction so that we stand out from the competition and we attract customers to do business with our small business. And we find a way to really make a difference in how we market and how we execute for our customers.
I love how it really is a whole, it is intertwined with everything we do in our business, and same is with the marketing, as I say usually. So, Scott, I truly appreciate you being here today. So please tell us where you want people to go if they want to learn more about what you do.
Sure. There are several different places, but the one that will direct you to what you specifically need is just scottmckain.com. And the last name is spelled McKain, which is a little different. But it's just scottmckain.com. We'll provide all the information and all the links to the different services that our small business provides.
Perfect. So I encourage you all to follow Scott for sure, as he really is one of the smartest people that I have. You have shaped my work, and I admire your work. So
thank you.
So, but before we go, please share and comment on a song and a quote that always inspires you to take action. We really would want to add those to our list.
I'll tell you a quick background story. I was 14 years old, and at the county fair in our rural community in Indiana in the United States, there was a band that was playing. And I was working at the local radio station, and I met the bass player of the band. Now, the singer was the star. Nobody knew who the people in the band were. But the bass player in this band and I are having a conversation, and he said, well, I've got one more show with this singer, and then some friends of mine and I are starting a band. And he said, so, we hope we have some hits. And I said, well, he said, okay, well, great. He said, so if you ever see a record come out from the Eagles, I hope you play it. Well, the guy's name is Randy Meisner. He was the bass player of the Eagles for many years. And obviously the Eagles did really well, right? But the song that he is known for, he didn't sing lead on many songs, but he is known for, I think, one of their all-time great songs called Take It to the Limit. And every time I hear the Eagles song, Take It to the Limit, about what life is about and taking it to the limit, and also, it's not just take it to the limit. The other thing about that song is he says, take it to the limit one more time. And I think in the world today, one of the most important qualities is resilience. The ability that after you've been knocked down by whether it's a challenge in your small business or a dwindling customer base because of a pandemic or whatever it might be, the ability and the resilience to take it to the limit one more time is a message that I still find inspiring, even though it's an old song, and that still continues to encourage me every time I hear it.
It is very inspiring, and it really sounds like a quote also already.
Yeah, exactly.
So will we use the same as a quote, or you have another one?
You bet. No, take it to the limit one more time is better than anything that I can come up with. But I love talking about the importance of distinction because, I grew up in a family that had a very small business, and I admire what you do so much because back then, there wasn't access to this kind of material for a small business person. It was only the big companies that had a chance to talk with marketing experts, and it was only large organizations that could really get into and have an ongoing coaching program and help. And I just think of how much more my family's small business could have thrived had they had the expertise that's now accessible. So the fact that you are doing that and helping people with a specific approach and obviously from your website, the results that you are helping your clients get is really remarkable. So Mari, thank you for having me today, but even more importantly, thank you for all the work that you are doing that helps so many clients and so many people around the world.
Thank you. The same goes to you. Thank you for the work you have done, and thank you for sharing your thoughts with our listeners here today. This is very truly appreciated by so many people, Scott. We all admire you.
Well, I hope we have a chance to do this again sometime. So let's do it again.
I hope so too. Thank you so much.
You bet.
That's all we've got for this episode of the Powerful Marketing Tips Podcast. Make sure to link up with us at our free monthly international mastermind event. Just go to powerful-marketers.com/mastermind for registration. And one thing that would really help us and other new potential listeners is if you would rate this show and leave a comment wherever you tune in to listen. Until next time, take care.